Why does a combat medic flinch at the sound of gunfire? Crag, crag, crag. The sharp reports split the morning air at Fort Carson's firing range, and Sarah Mitchell's whole body jerked, violently, like each bullet was tearing through her chest. She pressed herself against the concrete wall, clutching her medical bag like a lifeline, trying to make herself invisible in the furthest corner of the range. Holy cow, look at her. Sergeant Derek Thompson's voice boomed across the range. 6'2", mountain of muscle. He turned away from his target, broad shoulders shaking with laughter. Yo, Doc, this ain't a library. Medics don't fight, remember. The entire squad erupted. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez whistled mockingly through his teeth. Bet she wets herself if someone yells bang. Sarah took another step back. Her shoulder blades pressed hard against the cold concrete. Her brown eyes, flecked with gold in the harsh morning light, widened with each gunshot. Her hands trembled, unconsciously fingering the worn dog tags hidden beneath her uniform. A detail no one noticed in the dim pre-dawn light. Pathetic, Thompson spat on the ground near her feet. Hayes should ship this coward back to the hospital where she belongs. Leave the real work to actual soldiers. But they didn't see the way Sarah's jaw clenched so hard her teeth ached. They didn't notice the peculiar V-shaped scar on her right wrist, barely visible beneath her sleeve. They didn't hear her whispered words, barely more than a breath. Not again, never again. In 20 minutes, on a deadly road 8,000 miles away, they would understand why a medic feared the sound of gunfire, and why that fear would save all their lives. The morning had started like every other at Fort Carson. Sarah's alarm buzzed at 5:30 hours, dragging her from another nightmare. Syria again, always Syria. She sat up in her bunk, sheets soaked with cold sweat, and began her ritual. Count to 100. Check the medical kit 3 times, every bandage, every tourniquet, every morphine syringe in its place. Her hands shook as she reached for the prescription bottle hidden in her foot locker. Propranolol for the tremors, the doctor had said, for the anxiety. She dry swallowed 2 pills, then carefully hid the bottle again. No one could know. From beneath her pillow she pulled out a photograph, creased and worn from handling. 4 figures in tactical gear, faces deliberately blurred. She traced a finger over each shadow. I'm just a medic now, she whispered to the ghosts in the picture. Just a medic. By 600 hours, she was in the mess hall, sitting alone in the corner, furthest from the boisterous infantry soldiers. She picked at her eggs, trying to ignore the loud voices and sudden movements that made her shoulders tense. Scared of breakfast, too. Thompson's tray slammed down on her table, making her jump. Coffee splashed across the metal surface. Rodriguez appeared at Thompson's shoulder, making a gun with his fingers. Banged. Sarah's whole body jerked. Her coffee cup tumbled, brown liquid spreading across the table. The surrounding tables burst into laughter. Someone pulled out a phone, recording her reaction. For heaven's sake, Rodriguez laughed. She's jumpier than a recruit on his first day. Corporal Lance, one of the unit's other medics, frowned from a nearby table. Something about Sarah's startled response wasn't right. It wasn't just fear. It was something deeper, more practiced. Like her body was remembering something her mind was trying to forget. Thompson leaned in close, his breath hot on Sarah's face. 2 weeks, Doc. 2 weeks until we deploy to Iraq. You planning to hide behind your medical bag the whole time? What happens when the bullets are real? Sarah's hands continued to shake as she mopped up the spilled coffee with methodical precision. 3 napkins, folded exactly the same way. Everything had to be precise, controlled. It was the only way to keep the memories at bay. Answer me when I'm talking to you, Thompson growled. Yes, Sergeant, Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible. Yes, what? Yes, I understand we deploy in 2 weeks. And you're going to be useless to us, aren't you? He stood up, addressing the entire mess hall. Everyone, meet our combat medic who's afraid of combat. Maybe we should get her a whistle instead of a rifle. She can blow it when she needs a real soldier to protect her. More laughter, more phones recording. Sarah kept her eyes on the table, counting the scratches in the metal surface. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like the bodies in. No, she was just a medic now, just a medic. The firing range was mandatory. Every soldier had to qualify with their weapon before deployment, even medics. Sarah had tried to be last in line, hoping somehow she'd run out of time. But Thompson had other plans. Ladies first, Doc. He grabbed her arm, his fingers digging into her bicep, and dragged her to the firing line. Can't have our medic failing her quals. He laughed, looking at those shaking hands. I'm betting you can't even hold it steady. He shoved an M4 into her hands. The weight of it, the smell of gun oil, the cold metal against her palms. It all came rushing back. Syria, the weight of her rifle, the smell of cordite and blood, the sound of safety still on, genius. Thompson's voice cut through the flashback. This is incredible. Our medic doesn't even know how to operate a basic rifle. Hey, Rodriguez, come see this. Sarah's fingers moved to the safety selector. The motion was automatic, practiced, her thumb finding the switch without looking. She caught herself and fumbled, making it look clumsy. But Lance noticed the way her hands had moved for just a second. That was muscle memory, expert muscle memory. 5 rounds, the range instructor called out. Make them count. Sarah raised the rifle to her shoulder. Through the scope, the target swam in and out of focus, not because she couldn't see it clearly, but because she was fighting every instinct in her body. Her stance was wrong, deliberately wrong. Feet too close together, weight distributed poorly, shoulder not properly seated against the stock. She fired 5 shots. 2 hit the target dead center, clustered so tightly they could have been covered by a quarter. The other 3 went wide, missing the target entirely. Lucky shots, Thompson crowed. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, but 3 complete misses, pathetic. How did you even make it through basic training? What he didn't see was the precision required to miss that badly on purpose, to override every instinct, every hour of training, every mission where missing meant dying. Sarah had placed those 3 shots exactly where she wanted them, safely into the berm behind the targets. Lieutenant Colonel Webb appeared at the edge of the range, and Sarah's blood ran cold. Unlike the others, he wore civilian clothes, but the Glock 19 on his hip marked him as someone with special privileges. He watched her with an expression she recognized all too well, the look of someone who knew more than they were saying. He pulled out an encrypted phone and typed something quickly, his eyes never leaving Sarah. The afternoon brought combat lifesaver training, Sarah's domain. Here at least she could hide behind her medical knowledge. Bandages and tourniquets didn't require her to face her demons. Or so she thought. What if the medic gets shot first? Thompson interrupted her demonstration on controlling bleeding. Who saves the savior, huh? The class of 30 soldiers turned to watch, sensing another opportunity for entertainment at Sarah's expense. We're trained to treat ourselves if necessary, Sarah said quietly, not looking up from the training dummy. Show us then. Thompson pulled out his sidearm, ejected the magazine to show it was empty. Pretend I just shot you in the leg. What do? Sarah's hands froze on the tourniquet. That's not part of the... I said show us. Thompson's voice turned hard. Unless you're too scared to even pretend. The room went silent, waiting. Sarah's breathing quickened, her vision tunneled, the training room disappeared, and suddenly she was back there, the day everything changed. Back in Aleppo, blood on her hands, real blood, too much blood. I can't, she whispered. Can't or won't. I said I can't. Thompson smiled, cold and cruel. Then maybe you shouldn't be a medic at all. If you can't handle a little pressure in training, how are you going to handle real combat? Sarah stood, her legs barely supporting her. She walked out of the room, down the hallway, out of the building. Behind her, Thompson's laughter echoed. But what none of them knew, what none of them could possibly understand, was that Sarah Mitchell wasn't her real name. What happens when the past refuses to stay buried? That night Sarah sat in her barracks room, lights off, staring at nothing. The photograph lay on her lap, 4 shadows in tactical gear. She knew their names, their real names, the ones the world would never know. Phantom, that's what they'd called her. Phantom 27. The number was classified. Even the existence of her unit was classified. They weren't supposed to exist, and after Aleppo they didn't. Her phone buzzed, unknown number. She stared at it for a long moment before answering. Mitchell, she said, using the fake name. We need to talk. The voice was unfamiliar, professional. Tomorrow, 400 hours, the old warehouse on the south side of the base. Come alone. Who is this? Someone who knows who you really are and what you did in Syria. The line went dead. Sarah's hands started shaking again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was something else, something deeper. Recognition. She looked down at the photograph, at the 4 blurred figures. One of them was dead, killed in action, the official report said, but Sarah knew better. Nothing about that mission was official. Another had disappeared, gone underground, erased himself from every database in the world. The third had tried to kill her 6 months ago in Berlin, failed, vanished again. And Sarah, well, Sarah had tried to become someone else, someone small, someone invisible, someone who saved lives instead of taking them. But the past doesn't let go that easily. At 400 hours she made her way through the darkness. No uniform, civilian clothes, a knife hidden in her boot, old habits. The warehouse was abandoned, windows broken, door hanging off its hinges. She stepped inside, letting her eyes adjust to the deeper darkness within. You came. Lieutenant Colonel Webb stepped out of the shadows. Not alone, 3 other men, all in civilian clothes, all carrying the same predatory stillness she recognized. Operators, special operations. Who are you really? Sarah asked, though she already knew. ISA, Intelligence Support Activity. We've been looking for Phantom 27 for 8 months. She's dead, died in Aleppo. Did she? Webb smiled. But there was no warmth in it. Because we have satellite footage of someone matching your exact description, taking out a 3-man hit squad in Berlin, using techniques only taught to Tier 1 operators. Sarah said nothing. We know what you were, Webb continued. Who you were, what you did, and we know why you ran. Then you know I'm done with that life. Are you? Because we have a problem, and you're the only one who can solve it. Find someone else. There is no one else, your former team leader. Call St. Scorpion. He's gone rogue, completely off the grid, and he's planning something big, something that could kill thousands. Sarah's heart stopped. Scorpion, the man who'd taught her everything, who'd saved her life more times than she could count. The man who'd lost his mind in Aleppo. I don't know where he is, she said. We do, Iraq, same region where your unit is deploying. In fact, your convoy route passes right through his area of operation. Understanding dawned, cold and terrible. You planned this, the deployment, my assignment to this unit, all of it. Webb nodded. You want me to lead them into an ambush. We want you to stop Scorpion before he kills anyone else. The convoy is bait. He'll come for it, for you, and when he does, you'll have backup, real backup, not these kids who think you're a coward. No. Not a request, Phantom. You still have a security clearance. You're still on the hook for classified operations. And if you don't help us, we'll make sure everyone knows what you really are, including Thompson and his friends. How do you think they'll react when they find out their scared little medic was one of the deadliest operators in the Middle East? Sarah felt the walls closing in, the careful life she'd built, the anonymity, the peace. All of it hanging by a thread. "What do you need me to do?" she asked, though she already knew the answer would destroy her. "Get your unit to the ambush site. Keep them alive until we can extract Scorpion. Then disappear again. We'll give you a new identity, new location. No one will ever find you." "And if I can't keep them alive?" Webb's expression didn't change. "Then they die, just like in Aleppo, but this time it'll be your choice." 2 weeks later, the convoy rolled out of forward operating base Falcon. 6 Humvees, 40 soldiers, and 1 medic who knew more than she was saying. Sarah sat in the third vehicle, medical gear spread around her. Thompson drove. Rodriguez rode shotgun. Both men still treated her like a liability. Neither noticed the way she positioned herself. Perfect angles to cover the interior. Nor did they see how her eyes constantly scanned the horizon, reading the terrain with practiced efficiency. "Scared yet, Doc?" Thompson called back. "No, Sergeant." "Give it time. Wait till you hear your first IED. Then we'll see if you can still change a bandage without pissing yourself." The convoy moved deeper into hostile territory. The road narrowed. Buildings closed in on both sides. Ambush terrain, textbook ambush terrain. Sarah's heart rate slowed, her breathing steadied. The fear that had plagued her for months, gone. Because this she understood. Contact front. The lead vehicle exploded, not an IED, an RPG, followed immediately by machine gun fire from 3 positions. The convoy erupted into chaos, soldiers screaming, returning fire blindly, vehicles trying to maneuver. But Sarah was already moving. Thompson hard left now. Her voice cut through the panic, commanding, absolute. Thompson reacted instinctively, jerking the wheel. The vehicle lurched left just as an RPG screamed past, exactly where they'd been. "How did you?" "Drive, Rodriguez, cover our 6, everyone else heads down." Sarah grabbed the radio. "All units, this is Medic 1. Do not advance, do not retreat, form defensive circle, now." "Who the hell does she think she is?" someone shouted on the net. "I said now." Something in her voice, something that brooked no argument. The convoy began to move, not panicking anymore, coordinated, disciplined. And Sarah Mitchell, the scared medic who flinched at gunshots, was giving them the commands that kept them alive. But why? Why was a medic trained in tactical operations? And what else was she hiding? How does someone go from saving lives to taking them? The convoy had formed a defensive circle, 6 Humvees in a tight perimeter, soldiers using the vehicles for cover, returning fire at the 3 ambush positions. But they were pinned down, trapped, and the enemy knew it. "Doc," Thompson shouted, "Johnson's hit." Sarah moved, low and fast, across 10 meters of open ground, bullets kicking up dust around her feet. She didn't flinch, didn't slow. She reached Johnson, 19 years old, entry wound in his left shoulder, exit wound in his back, sucking chest wound. "Stay with me, Johnson," she said, her voice calm, steady, like they were back in training. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency. Seal the wound, check for tension pneumothorax, start an IV, morphine for the pain. "You're okay," she told him. "You're going to be okay." All while bullets snapped overhead. Lance, the other medic, stared at her in disbelief. This wasn't the same woman who'd flinched at breakfast 2 weeks ago. "Doc," Rodriguez called out, "we've got movement, south side, multiple hostiles, they're flanking us." Sarah finished with Johnson, handed him off to Lance, then moved to Rodriguez's position. She looked over the hood of the Humvee. assessing, calculating. 12 hostiles, moving through the buildings, professional, coordinated, using cover and concealment. Not insurgents, these were trained fighters. And leading them, moving with a grace that made Sarah's heart stop, was a man she recognized. "Scorpion, give me your rifle," she said to Rodriguez. "What? Your rifle now." Something in her tone made him comply. He handed her his M4. Sarah checked the chamber, adjusted the sight, then rose slightly above cover. Thompson saw her, his mouth open to shout, to tell her to get down, to stop being stupid. But then he saw her stance. Feet shoulder width apart, weight perfectly balanced, breathing controlled, eyes focused. This wasn't a scared medic. This was something else entirely. Sarah acquired her target, the lead hostile, not Scorpion, one of his men. She controlled her breathing, heartbeat, the world narrowed to the sight picture. She squeezed the trigger. The hostile dropped, clean headshot, 200 meters. She adjusted, acquired the second target, fired. Another drop. Third target, fourth, fifth. Each shot precise, economical, no wasted movement. In 15 seconds, she neutralized 5 threats, with 5 bullets. The enemy advance stopped. Confusion. They'd been expecting easy targets. Instead, they'd run into something unexpected. Someone who knew how to fight back. Sarah dropped back below cover, handed the rifle back to Rodriguez. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from shock. "What the hell are you?" he whispered. Sarah didn't answer. She was already moving to the next position, checking fields of fire, directing soldiers to better cover. Thompson grabbed her arm. "Who are you really?" "Right now, I'm the medic trying to keep you alive. Questions later." "Those shots?" "Later, Thompson." The radio crackled, Webb's voice. "Phantom, this is Overwatch. We have eyes on. Scorpion is moving to your position. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. We need him alive." Sarah keyed the radio. "Negative. He's going to kill everyone here." "That's an order, Phantom." "Then court-martial me, if anyone's still alive to do it." She switched frequencies, back to the unit channel. "Listen up. We've got approximately 20 minutes before reinforcements arrive. Until then, we hold this position. No one fires unless I give the command. Understood?" "Who put you in charge?" someone asked. "I did." Captain Hayes's voice came over the net. He'd been in the rear vehicle, wounded but conscious. "Everyone follows Doc's orders. That's a direct command." Silence, then acknowledgments. Sarah moved through the perimeter, checking each position, repositioning soldiers, creating overlapping fields of fire, setting up a defense that would make any infantry officer proud. Lance followed her, still trying to understand. "You're not just a medic, are you?" "No." "What are you then?" Sarah looked at him, and for a moment he saw something in her eyes, something cold and ancient. "I'm what happens when someone tries to run from who they really are, and fails." The second wave hit harder, coordinated fire from multiple positions, mortars landing inside the perimeter. But the convoy held, because someone had taught them how to fight, really fight. Sarah was everywhere, treating the wounded, directing fire, moving with a speed and efficiency that defied understanding. Thompson watched her, this woman he'd mocked, called a coward, laughed at. She wasn't running, wasn't hiding. She was the glue holding them together. "Cover me," she shouted, then sprinted across the perimeter, 30 meters of open ground under fire, to reach a soldier bleeding out. Thompson found himself firing, covering her, protecting her. The woman who needed protection was now the one they all depended on. She reached the wounded soldier, PFC Martinez, 19, shrapnel in his abdomen, bleeding internally. This required surgery, real surgery, not field medicine. But Sarah's hands moved anyway, opening her kit, finding what she needed. "You're not dying today, Martinez," she said. "I won't allow it." She worked, sweat dripping down her face, hands steady, controlled. Around her the battle raged, but in her little bubble, her tiny circle of control, there was only the patient, only the mission. Save the life in front of you. Worry about everything else later. Martinez's breathing stabilized. Color returned to his face. "Stay with me," Sarah whispered. "That's an order." Movement to her left. She turned and found herself staring at Scorpion. He'd flanked the entire position, come in from an angle no one was watching, and now he stood 5 feet away, rifle aimed at her head. Their eyes met. And in that moment, 8 years of history passed between them. Missions, kills, victories, and one terrible, soul-destroying failure. "Hello, Phantom," he said. "It's been a long time." What do you do when the man who taught you everything becomes the monster you have to stop? They stood facing each other, Scorpion and Phantom, teacher and student, past and present colliding in a circle of dust and blood. "You look different," Scorpion said, his rifle still aimed at Sarah's head, playing dress-up, pretending to be normal. "I am normal now." "Are you?" He gestured at the perimeter, at the soldiers she'd organized, the defense she'd orchestrated. "Looks like old habits die hard." Around them the battle had stilled. His men had ceased fire, waiting, watching. Thompson raised his rifle, trying to get a shot, but Scorpion was using Sarah as cover, positioning himself so perfectly that any shot would hit her too. "Let them go," Sarah said. "This is between you and me." "Is it? Because it looks like ISA sent you to stop me, which means Webb is watching, which means this isn't personal at all. Webb's a fool if he thinks I'm working for him." Scorpion smiled, cold and cruel. "Then prove it, walk away. Leave these soldiers to their fate, come with me like old times." Sarah's hands remained steady on Martinez's abdomen, maintaining pressure on his wound, keeping him alive while negotiating her own survival. "Can't do that. Can't or won't. Does it matter?" Scorpion's finger tightened on the trigger. For a long moment, Sarah thought he'd actually shoot. Then he lowered the rifle, slightly. "You know what's funny?" he said. "I came here to kill you, revenge for Aleppo, for leaving me behind, for letting me become this. You chose to become this. Did I, or was it the only choice left after you took the easy way out?" The words hit harder than any bullet could have. Because he was right. Sarah had run, had hidden, had tried to erase everything she'd been. While Scorpion had kept fighting, kept killing, until the killing was all he knew. "What happened to you?" Sarah asked. "The man I knew, he wouldn't do this." "The man you knew died in Aleppo, along with our team, along with any illusion that what we were doing mattered." "It did matter." "Did it? Then why did they erase us? Why are we ghosts? Why do we not exist in any database, any record, any memory?" Sarah had no answer, because he was right, again. They'd been erased, all of them. 4 operators who'd run black ops across 3 continents, saving lives, stopping terrorists, doing the jobs no one else could do. And when it went wrong, when Aleppo happened, when innocent people died despite their best efforts, the government had simply deleted them. No honors, no recognition, no acknowledgement they'd ever existed. Just 4 shadows who'd bled for their country, then been abandoned by it. "I can't let you kill these soldiers," Sarah said. "Whatever your beef with the system, they're innocent." "No one's innocent. They signed up. They chose this just like we did. They're kids. So were we." The truth of it echoed between them. Thompson watched this exchange, not understanding half of it, but understanding enough. This wasn't random. This was personal, and somehow his scared medic was at the center of it. "Final offer," Scorpion said. "Come with me. Help me finish what we started, or stay here, protect these soldiers, and know that every person I kill after this, every death is on you." Sarah looked down at Martinez, then around at the 40 soldiers depending on her, then back at Scorpion. The man who'd taught her everything, who'd saved her life, who'd become the very thing they'd spent years fighting against. "I'm staying," she said. Scorpion nodded, like he'd expected this answer. "Then I'll see you again, soon, and next time one of us doesn't walk away." He stepped back, melting into the shadows. His men followed, disappearing as quickly as they'd appeared. The ambush was over, but Sarah knew the real war had just begun. Thompson lowered his rifle, looked at Sarah, really looked at her for the first time. "Who are you?" he asked. Sarah finished bandaging Martinez, then stood, covered in blood and dust. "I'm your medic," she said. "That's all you need to know." "Bullshit." Captain Hayes's voice crackled over the radio. "All units, reinforcements arriving in 5. Prepare for extract. Doc, get a casualty count." Sarah moved through the perimeter, checking each soldier. 8 wounded, none critical thanks to her intervention. 0 KIA. A miracle, given the circumstances. Lance helped her, still processing what he'd witnessed. "Those shots you made," he said quietly. "The way you moved, the tactics you knew, that's not medical training." "No." "So what are you?" Sarah looked at him. This young medic who reminded her of herself 8 years ago, idealistic, believing in the mission, thinking they could save the world. "I'm someone who learned the hard way that sometimes saving lives requires taking them. And I'm someone who's been running from that truth for a very long time." "Are you still running?" Sarah thought about that, about Thompson's mockery, about hiding, about being small and invisible and afraid. About Scorpion, and Aleppo, and all the ghosts that followed her. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I think maybe I'm tired of running." The helicopters arrived, dust and noise, soldiers loading wounded, preparing for extraction. Webb appeared, flanked by his ISA team. "Phantom, we need to talk." "Nothing to talk about." "You let him go." "I saved 40 lives." "And let a high-value target escape. That's failure." Sarah stepped close to Webb, invasion of his personal space, forcing him to acknowledge her. "I'm done," she said. "Done with ISA, done with Black Ops, done with being your weapon, find someone else." "It doesn't work that way." "Watch me." She turned, walked back to her unit. Thompson stood by the Humvee, watching her approach. "We need answers," he said. "I know. Are we in danger because of you?" "Yes." The honesty surprised him. He'd expected denials, lies, deflection. "Why should we trust you?" Sarah met his eyes. "Because despite everything, despite who I was, who I might still be, the only thing I've ever wanted, since leaving that old life, is to save lives, not take them, and I will do whatever it takes to keep you and everyone in this unit alive." Thompson studied her, this woman he'd tormented, mocked, dismissed. "Those shots you made, 5 for 5 at 200 meters under fire, that's world-class shooting." "Yes." "And the tactics, the way you organized our defense, that's special operations level training." "Yes." "So what were you before you were our scared little medic?" Sarah paused, then made a decision: no more hiding, no more running. "I was one of 4 operators in a classified unit. We didn't exist officially. We ran Black Ops across the Middle East, high-value targets, rescue missions, assassinations when necessary. For 8 years, I was one of the deadliest people in the U.S. military." Thompson's jaw dropped. "And then Aleppo happened. A mission went wrong. Innocent people died, people we were trying to save, and I couldn't handle it, couldn't live with myself, so I requested reassignment. They erased my records, gave me a new identity, and I became Sarah Mitchell, combat medic, too scared to fire her weapon. That was all an act." No, the fear was real. The trauma was real. I genuinely couldn't handle the sound of gunfire anymore. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't function. The act was pretending I'd never been anything more than a medic. Why? Because I wanted to save lives instead of taking them. Because I was tired of being death walking. Because I thought maybe if I helped enough people, I could balance the scales. Earn some kind of redemption. Thompson was quiet for a long moment. Did it work? Sarah looked at the wounded soldiers, at Martinez, stable and breathing, at Johnson, who would make a full recovery, at all the lives she'd saved today. I don't know, she admitted, but I have to keep trying. Can you ever truly outrun your past? The after-action report was thorough. 40 soldiers, 8 wounded, 0 killed, against a coordinated ambush by at least 20 hostiles, statistical improbability bordering on impossible. Unless someone on the inside knew exactly what to do, exactly how to react, exactly how to turn a massacre into a victory. Sarah sat in the debriefing room, alone, waiting. Captain Hayes entered first, arm in a sling but mobile. He sat across from her. "The men are calling you a hero," he said. "I'm not a hero." "No, you're something else entirely." He pulled out a classified folder, Sarah's real personnel file, the one that didn't officially exist. Phantom 27, specializing in direct action and counterterrorism. 68 confirmed missions, 0 operational failures until Aleppo. You weren't supposed to have access to that. Webb gave it to me. Thought I should know who I was really dealing with. And Hayes studied her. And I have 40 soldiers who came home alive because you were there. So I don't particularly care about your past. What I care about is your present. Are you a threat to this unit? No. Is Scorpion? Sarah hesitated, then nodded. He's hunting me, and he'll go through anyone to get to me. Then we have a problem. I'll resign, request immediate transfer, get out of your life. That's not what I meant. Hayes leaned forward. I meant we need to figure out how to protect this unit while helping you deal with your past, because running hasn't worked, has it? The words hit home, because he was right. For 8 months Sarah had been running. New identity, new life, new purpose. And Scorpion had still found her. I don't know how to stop him, Sarah admitted. Not without becoming what I was, and if I become that again, I don't know if I can come back. Maybe you don't have to become what you were. Maybe you can be something new, something better. What's that supposed to mean? Hayes smiled. It means you're a medic who can shoot, a soldier who saves lives, a warrior who chooses healing over killing. That's not weakness, that's evolution. The door opened. Thompson entered, followed by Rodriguez, Lance, and a dozen other soldiers from the convoy. They stood in formation, at attention. Sarah looked at them in confusion. Thompson stepped forward. "Doc, on behalf of the unit, we owe you an apology. We judged you, mocked you, treated you like a coward, and we were wrong. You saved our lives, all of them, and we want you to know we've got your back, whatever comes next." One by one, the soldiers echoed the sentiment. Sarah felt something crack inside her chest, the armor she'd built around herself, the walls keeping everyone at distance. These soldiers, the ones she'd saved, they weren't seeing her as a weapon or a killer or a ghost. They were seeing her as one of them. "I don't deserve this," she whispered. "Neither did we," Rodriguez said. "But you gave it anyway. Let us return the favor." That night Sarah couldn't sleep. She sat in her barracks, staring at the photograph of her old team. 4 shadows, 3 of them broken or dead, one trying desperately to be something else. Her phone buzzed, unknown number again. She knew who it was before answering. "Scorpion." "You're getting soft, Phantom, letting these kids protect you. What happens when I come for them?" "I'll stop you." "How? By being their medic, by patching their wounds while I kill them one by one." I'll do what I have to do. Good, because I'm giving you 72 hours. Then I'm hitting your base, and everyone you care about dies unless you meet me. Alone, just you and me. Settling this like we should have 8 years ago. Where? Where it all started, Aleppo. The same compound where we lost everything. Let's finish what we started. The line went dead. Sarah sat there, phone in hand, heart pounding. She could run, again, take a new name, new identity, disappear into the world. But Scorpion would find her, again, and next time he might kill innocent people just to draw her out. Or she could face him, end this, one way or another. She thought about Hayes's words, about being something new, something better. A warrior who chooses healing over killing. But what if the only way to heal this situation was to kill? What if Scorpion was too far gone, too broken to save? Could she do it? Could she kill the man who'd taught her everything? She didn't know, but she had 72 hours to figure it out. The next morning, Sarah went to Hayes. I need to go to Syria, unofficially, no records, no paper trail. Why? To end this, to stop Scorpion before he kills anyone else. Alone. It has to be. Hayes studied her. You know this is probably a trap. I know. And you're going anyway. I am. Then take this. He handed her a secure phone. Direct line to me. You get in trouble, you call, we'll extract you. This isn't your fight. You made it our fight when you saved our lives. We don't abandon our own, not anymore. Sarah felt that crack in her chest widen. These people, these soldiers who'd mocked her, they were willing to risk everything for her. Thank you, she said, meaning it. Thompson appeared. If Doc's going to Syria, I'm going with her. No. Not a request. You saved my life. Now I save yours. That's how this works. Rodriguez stepped up. Count me in too. Lance, Williams, Martinez still bandaged but mobile. One by one they volunteered. Sarah looked at them, these soldiers, these brothers and sisters, and realized something profound. She'd been running from her past, trying to erase who she'd been, ashamed of what she'd done. But maybe redemption wasn't about erasure. Maybe it was about integration. Taking the skills she'd learned, the darkness she'd embraced, and using them for something better. Not as a weapon, but as a shield. All right, she said, but we do this my way. Follow my lead, trust my calls. Can you do that? They nodded, without hesitation. Sarah turned to Hayes. I need access to the armory, and transportation to Syria, classified mission, Black Ops. Hayes smiled. Phantom 27 back in action. No, Sarah Mitchell, combat medic, who happens to have a very particular set of skills. What does it cost to choose mercy in a world demanding vengeance? The flight to Syria was quiet. 6 soldiers in the back of a C-130, no official orders, no mission briefing, just 6 people who decided that loyalty meant something. Sarah sat near the front, checking her gear, M4 rifle, sidearm, medical kit, everything she'd need for what came next. Thompson sat beside her. Tell me about him, he said. Scorpion, what was he like before? Sarah thought about that, about the man Scorpion used to be. He was the best operator I ever knew, precise, disciplined, compassionate in his own way. He taught me everything, how to shoot, how to move, how to think tactically, but more than that, he taught me how to care, how to balance the mission with our humanity. What happened? Aleppo, we had a mission. Extract a CIA asset and his family. Simple snatch and grab, but intel was wrong. The asset was already compromised, and when we went in, we walked into a trap. Sarah's voice grew distant, remembering. We fought our way out, but the asset's family, his wife, his children, they were caught in the crossfire. We tried to save them, did everything right, but sometimes right isn't enough. They died. All of them and Scorpion. He took it hard, blamed himself, blamed the system that put us in that position, blamed everyone. Eventually, he started blaming innocence itself, started seeing threats everywhere, until he became the very thing we'd spent years fighting. And you? I ran, couldn't face what we'd done, what I'd become, so I erased myself, became someone new, someone who saved lives instead of taking them. But you're going back now, why? Sarah looked at him. Because running solved nothing. The guilt followed me. The nightmares followed me. Scorpion followed me. You can't escape your past by pretending it doesn't exist. You have to face it, own it, and then decide who you're going to be despite it. They landed at a forward operating base in northern Syria, abandoned, officially closed, but still standing. From there they drove, 3 Humvees, moving through hostile territory under cover of darkness. Sarah navigated from memory, every turn, every landmark. The route was burned into her brain from dozens of missions. Finally, they reached it, the compound in Aleppo where everything had gone wrong. It stood like a tomb, bullet holes in the walls, burn marks from explosions, the ghosts of violence frozen in stone. "This is it?" Rodriguez asked. "This is it." They moved in, tactical formation, Sarah on point, the others covering. The compound was empty, or appeared to be. But Sarah knew better. She could feel him, Scorpion, watching, waiting. "He's here," she said quietly. "Stay alert." They cleared the first building. Nothing. Second building, nothing. Then they reached the courtyard, the same courtyard where the Asset's family had died. Blood stains still marked the ground, 8 years old but visible in the moonlight. And standing in the center of it, rifle slung over his shoulder, hands empty. "Scorpion." "You brought friends," he said. "I'm touched." "Let's end this," Sarah replied. "Just you and me, leave them out of it." "Can't do that, they're witnesses. They know who you really are, that makes them liabilities." Thompson raised his rifle. "Lower it," Sarah ordered. "Doc." "Lower it now." Reluctantly, Thompson complied. Sarah stepped forward, into the courtyard, closer to Scorpion. "You wanted to settle this, then settle it, but leave them alone." Scorpion smiled. "Always so noble, always trying to save everyone, even the ones who don't deserve saving." "Everyone deserves saving." "Do they? Even me?" The question hung in the air. Sarah looked at him, really looked, and saw the brokenness, the pain, the guilt eating him alive. "Especially you," she said. Scorpion laughed, bitter and harsh. "You think you can save me, after everything I've done, the people I've killed? I think you can save yourself, if you choose to. And if I choose not to, then I'll do what I have to do." Scorpion's hand moved toward his rifle, slow, deliberate, testing. "You'd kill me, your mentor, your friend. To protect innocent people, yes, but I'd mourn you for the rest of my life." Something flickered in Scorpion's eyes, surprise maybe, or recognition. "You really mean that?" "I do." He laughed again, but softer this time. "You know what your problem is, Phantom. You care too much. In this line of work, that's a death sentence." "Maybe, but it's what makes us human." "Human?" Scorpion tasted the word. "I haven't felt human in 8 years." "Then let me help you remember." Sarah holstered her sidearm, completely, leaving herself vulnerable. Thompson started forward. Sarah held up a hand, stopping him. "This is between us," she said, not looking away from Scorpion. Scorpion stared at her open hands, her defenseless stance. "You're insane," he said. "I could kill you right now." "I know." "Then why?" "Because you taught me that mercy is stronger than violence, compassion stronger than cruelty, and I refuse to believe you've forgotten that lesson." For a long moment, no one moved. The entire world balanced on a knife's edge. Then Scorpion did something unexpected. He knelt, set his rifle on the ground, and put his hands behind his head. "I'm tired," he said, voice cracking. "So tired of running, of killing, of being this thing I've become." Sarah moved forward, slowly, carefully. She knelt beside him. "Then stop," she said gently. "Stop running, stop fighting, let yourself be saved." Scorpion looked at her, and for the first time in 8 years she saw her friend again, the man who'd taught her, protected her, believed in her. "How?" he whispered. "How do I come back from this?" "The same way I did, one day at a time, one choice at a time, choosing to heal instead of hurt." She stood, offered her hand. Scorpion stared at it, then slowly, hesitantly, he reached up. Their hands clasped. Sarah pulled him to his feet. Thompson and the others watched in disbelief. They'd expected a firefight, a climactic battle, not this, not mercy extended to someone who'd caused so much pain. But Sarah understood something they didn't. That the hardest battles aren't fought with rifles and grenades. They're fought with choices, with the decision to be better than your worst moments, to show compassion when vengeance would be easier. "What happens now?" Scorpion asked. "Now we go home, face consequences, make amends where we can, and try to be the people we wish we'd been 8 years ago." Scorpion nodded, exhausted, broken, but somehow hopeful. They walked out of the compound together, teacher and student, monster and saint, both trying to find their way back to being human. Webb was waiting at the extraction point, ISA team armed and ready. "Phantom," he said, "step away from the target." "He's not a target, he's a soldier who needs help. He's a wanted terrorist who needs to be neutralized." Sarah positioned herself between Webb and Scorpion. "You'll have to go through me." Webb's team raised their weapons, 40 guns aimed at Sarah and Scorpion. Thompson and his soldiers moved forward, forming a line, a human shield. "Lower your weapons," Thompson said. "Doc saved our lives, we're not letting you take hers." "Stand off, everyone armed, everyone ready." Webb looked at Sarah. "You're throwing your life away for him." "I'm choosing to believe people can change, can heal, can be redeemed. If that's throwing my life away, so be it." Webb studied her, then Scorpion, then Thompson and the others. Finally, he lowered his weapon. "Stand down," he ordered his team. They hesitated, then complied. "You're taking responsibility for him," Webb said to Sarah. "Any civilians he hurts, any operations he compromises, that's on you." "I accept that." Webb shook his head. "You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the most foolish." Sarah smiled. "Maybe both." They flew back to the United States, Scorpion in custody, but not in chains, treated as a soldier, not a criminal. Sarah sat beside him, watching dawn break over the Mediterranean. "Thank you," Scorpion said quietly. "For what?" "For not giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself." That's what medics do. We save lives, even the ones others write off as lost. I don't deserve saving. None of us do, but we get saved anyway. That's called grace. They landed at Fort Carson. Media was already gathering. Word had leaked about the unauthorized mission, the confrontation with a known terrorist, the mutiny against ISA orders. Sarah knew she'd face court-martial, possibly prison, definitely the end of her career. But as she walked down the ramp and saw Thompson and her unit standing at attention, saluting her, she realized something profound. She'd spent 8 years running from who she was, ashamed, afraid, trying to erase her past. But maybe the point wasn't to erase, maybe it was to integrate. To take the darkness she'd known, the skills she'd learned, the pain she'd endured, and transform it into something beautiful. A warrior who chooses healing over killing, protection over destruction, mercy over vengeance. That was her redemption, not forgetting who she'd been, but becoming something better because of it. Captain Hayes approached. "The brass wants to see you," he said, "both of you. I know. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing." Sarah smiled. "So do I." She walked toward the headquarters building, Scorpion beside her, Thompson and the unit following. Whatever came next, whatever punishment awaited, she'd face it standing tall, no longer running, no longer hiding. Just a medic who'd learned the hardest lesson of all. Sometimes mercy is harder than violence, compassion more difficult than cruelty, and choosing to heal, even when you have every reason to hurt, is the bravest thing a warrior can do. Medics don't fight. Unless someone forces them to, unless love demands it, unless saving a life requires taking a stand. And when they fight for something worth fighting for. Not vengeance, not glory, not victory, but redemption, for themselves, for others, for the broken souls who think they're too far gone to save. Because in the end, dignity doesn't shout, it doesn't boast, it doesn't need to prove itself. It simply acts, quietly, persistently, choosing mercy when the world demands blood, choosing healing when violence would be easier, choosing to be the light in someone else's darkness. That's what medics do. They fight for life, always, even when it costs them everything. Especially then,